All right, so PUBG is going home back to classic Erangel, the map that started it all during this 2-week temporary event. This is launching on PC on May 14th and on console on May 23rd. And what does this mean? Well, the original version of Erangel is going to be playable during this time with old locations, the old vibe, the old color schemes, the darker, grittier looks, the darker shadows, everything including here, including the weapons during the loadout is coming back for this temporary game mode, even including the old UI and mini map and regular map, which is going to be interesting. And for all the new players out there, I didn't even play PUBG during this time. Certain things like the Tommy gun being a care package weapon are returning to the game. So this is really interesting. In this video, I'm going to go through what's happening here, what's going to be included, what questions we have, what might not be included, my opinion about this, and we'll talk about some PUBG history and nostalgia all along the way if you guys are interested in this. Before we read through this, and it gets a little long, I do want to show you guys this PUBG post that they made, social media post, because this will give you kind of a TLDR of what's about to come into the game. They just posted this, I think, within the last 24 hours on their social media channel. This is kind of like a folder that has 5 tabs on top. And the first one is we have the starting island, which we saw in the official post from PUBG. That's kind of cool. There's a plain paper clip. So this is coming back into the game. This was famously, again, just for the event, this was famously removed because it caused so many loading and lagging issues early on in the game, which is kind of funny and something that I think we all remember if you played PUBG back in the days, how bad the game lagged, which honestly would kind of be fun if PUBG brought that back, in my opinion, in some way, shape, or form. Then Mill to Power. I'm actually really excited about this. This is, I feel like, kind of an underrated, iconic area of Erangel, because Erangel, if you didn't know, is supposed to be set in an Eastern European or like Ukrainian area, kind of like Chernobyl, an abandoned island. So this nuclear power plant area to me was like a huge part of that, like a big symbol of Erangel was this location. And in addition to that, before TDM didn't come into the game for a long time, which is crazy to think about as well. But we had war mode, and this was a very popular kind of infamous war mode location with this building on the right. There would just be absolute mayhem here in this cement building. So this area was just really crazy. So I'm actually really excited to go back there. And then how can we forget the classic bridges? What's interesting, though, is that this isn't that old of a feature. Just recently in PUBG's history did the bridges change, right? After they remastered Erangel, they widened the bridges and then they changed Ferry Pier. And so this is one of the newer changes. They widened the bridge and added the catwalk, so it was, you know, less easy to block and easier for people to get through and counterplay. So I'm excited. PUBG can bring back old Erangel, but they can't really bring back old play styles. And to me, that's what really brought all the fun, is that, you know, people were so naive. They would just try to cross the bridge and have no idea to get blocked, and you get like a squad wipe. In addition to that, there was just a lot of people that would send it and try to ram the bridge block and went down anyways because there really wasn't any other way to go. There was no gliders or ferries. So, you know, you can't really bring back that play style because now people are smart. They know like to avoid it or try to get around or swim or boat or, you know, and one of the questions we'll get into later is, you know, will there be gliders? We don't know how far they're going into every little detail of this. But anyways, that will be fun. Hopefully you guys get some bridge blocks. Then something I'm less interested about is Pachinki and Rozak. I feel like, you know, they're different, but they haven't changed that much. Initial question is, you know, will the buildings, you know, we can get into this later, actually. We'll talk about that later, but still exciting to see the locations. And then Stalber, which was recently just changed again. So this is very new change. They redid Stalber completely. It's more of like an observatory area now. But what I can't remember is, was there I think there was an original version of Stalber. Then they changed it to have more ruins. And then now there's the new version. So I think this is going back to the very, very original version. I might forget about this. What's interesting now thinking about it is that really so much has changed about PUBG and Erangel and all of the maps over time. You know, they've edited things here and there. They've gone back on things, including with Sanhok and different maps. Like they've reverted changes. So it's hard to keep track of everything if you have a history book of PUBG. But all in all, I would say that Erangel probably remains the least changed out of all of the maps, right? They've added a lot of things over the years, but at the end of the day, when they did that remaster, they changed the least amount of things with that map compared to the other ones. So it still kind of has so much of its core there, other than the colors and the shading and stuff that changed so much when they did that remaster. So getting into the document, I read this on stream. I'll try to make this quick on here for you guys so this won't turn into a super long video. But again, we have the dates here. And it says that it will replace the current Erangel map in normal match during the above period, which I missed this the first time around. I thought this was going to be its own playlist, or maybe they added this in because there were so many people that had questions about this. Again, so many questions coming in from people, which we'll get into after we finish reading this. So that's interesting because there's something that might cause a problem with that, honestly. But what we are bringing back, we're trying to relive the nostalgic moments of PUBG in the OG version. So they're bringing back the gloomy, melancholic weather that you secretly enjoyed, meet the foggy and rainy weather. And honestly, something about the foggy weather back then, I enjoyed way more, or maybe I just didn't care about the visibility. Back in the day, you couldn't really find all the great scopes you could find now. So you really weren't concerned with finding people super far away. And also B, like you didn't really want to shoot at people far away because it was such a survival game. You didn't want to give away your position. Now, you know, PUBG's like run and gun, but back then people just played a lot different. So I'm interested to see if it was, I liked the mode better or just played differently because everyone's play style back then was so different. Then the starting weapons, which I don't even honestly care about. It's just going to be really loud and people shooting everywhere. But this is a very nostalgic thing, which is cool. And then we've even dialed back the clock on the UI, which I think is awesome that they brought back the old UI, vintage world map and mini map and the old colors and stuff like that. So to me, that's really cool. Just give it an old school feel. And then here's where we get into something that is a little debatable or interesting or controversial. The firearms carry a nostalgic touch too. That's right. We've reduced recoil in bold. Uh-oh. That just sent me back. All right. We've reduced recoil while not an exact replica of the old recoil. Players will still be able to reminisce about these early PUBG days. I don't remember the recoil being that different. I just know that on console, you know, it was so laggy that the recoil felt more difficult back in the day. And then search for the Tommy gun in the care package, just like the old days. And then they're also bringing back iconic clothes on the ground. If you don't remember, clothes were on the ground that you could pick up like this, and then they were eventually removed. And then also throughout the years, PUBG has slowly removed more and more things from inside buildings. Back in the day, there used to be a lot more clutter, tables, garbage cans, things inside the house like tables and chairs and stuff like that. So those have slowly been removed from the game during the remaster and during different updates to help create less frustration trying to move around the buildings. So, you know, people are wondering, is that going to be back in the game? B, is PUBG bringing in exploding vehicles? Will that return into the game? You know, the vehicles used to explode pretty much instantly after they ran out of health. Now, you know, they have the delay on them. So many things have been put into the game over the years to make the game easier. You couldn't heal and move at the same time. Now you can move slowly. Is that coming back in? How far is PUBG going with this? Are we going to see gliders? Are they going to remove any of the guns? You know, the barrel, the mutant, so many of these guns weren't originally in the game. So all of these things are questions. But PUBG did make a hint somewhere in one of their posts that they were going to keep the game kind of modern, but on the old version of Erangel. And since we did go through this tab, kind of highlighting these things, I feel like they would have maybe highlighted the exploding vehicles or something like that. So right now, if I had to make a guess, I'm going to say that it's mostly just the map that's been changed and that we might still see all of the same weapons in the game, the barrel and all that stuff. But then just kind of changed where they spawn, like the Tommy gun being in the care package. But another question is, will the M249 be in the care package? They didn't mention that. Who knows? And then on top of that, another question, which I'm kind of blanking on right now, is, oh yeah, I remember, is how are they going to deal with the recoil being different on just one map in the playlist? So if you go to Miramar and you're shooting a gun and then you play on Erangel, and the gun has more recoil, that's going to throw people off, I feel like. So that's a little weird. To me, I feel like this would have been a great opportunity to make it another queue, but I know they've struggled with that in recent history, having separate queues. But for it just being 2 weeks, I feel like people probably would have been more acceptable of that. But, you know, I get it. It is what it is. But at the same time, if I'm coming back to PUBG, which I haven't been playing as much lately, I only want to play this, to be honest with you. I just want to get in and play. So if this has a low percentage chance, like 10 or 20% or something like that, I'm going to be really bummed because we're going to be sitting there playing Rondo and Destin and all these maps when everyone's just going to want to go in and play this. But actually, I can't say that because a lot of people on social media and people I've talked to, other content creators, aren't that excited about this. So we'll end with this on this. I am actually super excited about this. I think this is a great idea by PUBG. It's something I've actually asked for forever, that it would be so fun to go back and play the original version of the game, and especially to see how far we've come. And, you know, I take it as far as I'd like to see almost like the exact version, everything included, like take out all the guns if they could, the old make it 9mm again, all those things, and just go back right back to that time. No mutant, none of the new guns, and just go to old school game. Especially because so much has changed. PUBG recently took out the strike and all that stuff. Having that back in the game would be really cool, in my opinion. But a lot of people don't like it. And, you know, I'm not really sure why, especially because it's a 2-week event. I think people get mad because, you know, why is PUBG working on this when they could be working on other things? But I think that argument, you know, just doesn't make sense. Companies have to do different things. You know, PUBG works on multiple different things. They're working on the future. They're working on now. They're working on marketing events, social media. A company just isn't one thing. They do multiple things, and they have multiple employees and departments and teams. So I wouldn't really look at it like that. I think that's short-sighted for a lot of people. And honestly, I'll leave you guys with this. I think that, you know, remember that PUBG was once the most popular game in the world for a moment in time, and really started sort of the explosion of streaming and helped create the careers of Dr. Disrespect and Shroud and all these people. So, you know, to me, it would be super smart if PUBG went in and got these guys to play and celebrate, hey, this is, you know, the game that kind of started off for a lot of people. And this could have been, or could be, a huge marketing thing for PUBG. Like PUBG could have 1 million players return back to play the old school version and support, even if they paid some of these big streamers to come back and play. Really, they should do it for you know, for fun, because this game helped launch them. Yeah, so I feel like it could be a big opportunity. I was hoping to see more marketing. PUBG's doing social media marketing and stuff like that, but not as much as I thought. But there is going to be a Twitch Rivals event for this. I'm not sure who's playing in it, but that's actually a pretty big deal. That will create a lot of social media buzz and hype, and we'll see where it goes from there. But honestly, I'm really excited to see how this plays out. I think it will, unfortunately, not be that old school. I think it will have some more new features. And it is a bummer that's on its own playlist, but I'm still very excited to check it out and give it a try. I'm sure there's a few things I missed out there, but drop them in the comments below what you guys think about this. And, you know, to me, just a really fun event from PUBG. So as always, thank you all for watching. I'm Blitz5, and peace out.